Hello. I would like to say hi to everybody, and I'm really pleased to have this roundtable today. First of all, I would like to thank to NGO Pina in Koper to host me here with Adriatic Garden program. And then also I would like to thank the URI Institute and the container organizations that they are hosting Adriatic Garden Point in Dubrovnik. The roundtable, Adriatic Garden, Aquaformation, is part of our Electronica Festival 2020, which is like really distributed on more than 120 locations all over the world. And we are happy to be one of them. Instead of our program, we would like to give special attention and commitment to the values of care, compassion, environmental justice, action taking, cooperation with the Adriatic Sea and its creatures. The project framework is aquaforensic, work that is like ongoing arts and science research developed by me, I'm Robertina Schebenich, and my colleague Gino Šutić from UR Institute from Dubrovnik. Instead of the aquaforensic project, we like to shed light on presence of invisible anthropogenic chemical pollutants in the water environment. First of all, we would like to say also thank you for our guests. We will now just do a short introduction of us, Adriatic Garden, and then also a short introduction of our guests, and then we will start with speakers and participants to debate and talk further. Just as a short notice, my name is Robertina Schebenich. I'm part of this Adriatic Garden Aquaforensic team, and I work as a freelance artist and researcher since plenty of years, with my focuses on environmental and ecological and arts. And I would just like to pass my word now also to my colleague Gino Šutić, who is in Dubrovnik.
I'm Gino Šutić, biotechnologist and new media artist based in Dubrovnik, where I run Universal Research Institute, which is focused on researching applied science, primarily biotechnology and experimental electronics, and science-related art. In 2000, a long time ago, actually, Robertina and I started to collaborate on different topics. We shared interest in ecology and invisible water pollutants. In 2018, we explored the effect of invisible pharmaceutical pollutants on microorganisms in waters, primarily pharmaceuticals that are residues of human consumption and overuse of drugs and medicines. The project resulted with art installation that is now at the moment in the framework of Adriatic Garden and Ars Electronica, shown on 3 different localities: in Art Workshop Lazareti in Dubrovnik, in City Art Gallery in Ljubljana, at Laboral in Spain, but also in Ars Electronica Festival events. So it's like 4 localities. And next to the exhibitions, in the framework of Adriatic Garden, we are conducting several workshops on the related topics and this roundtable, which gathers interdisciplinary experts, scientists, artists, and lawyers. So we can discuss this topic from different angles. The whole Adriatic Garden program you can check on Ars Electronica web pages. I invite you all to explore the web pages. There is lots of digital content that you can enjoy, such as Sono Adriatic Tales, online sound exhibition that is also part of the program. I give my word to Robertina, who will introduce our guest speakers today.
Thank you, Gino. Yeah, the exhibition in Dubrovnik looked very great, actually. I was checking it also on virtual tour, which was just yesterday online. So Olga and Gino, thank you for that. It was really excellent done, I think. So I would just like to introduce our speakers. With us, with me here in the studio of Pina in Koper, we have Professor Dr. Alenka Malej. Alenka Malej served as the head of Marine Biology Station of the National Institute of Biology in Slovenia for plenty of years. And she is also director of International Ocean Institute Cooperation Center, Slovenia, and has many years of experience instead of teaching marine ecology, marine biology, plankton, and special devotional love to the jellyfish, which is animal which I'm also very interested in. So then with us here is also Melina. Melina Sakiyama is Brazilian biologist and social environmental justice activist, and is co-founder of Global Youth Biodiversity Network. This network is very vibrant youth movement, and it has more than 1.2 million members and member organizations in 145 countries, which is really amazing. So lots of work. And special announcement, she got like last week Midori Biodiversity Award, which is like huge award, and we are happy to celebrate this also in our roundtable. Then with me, next to me, it's Mario Benkoch, who is a lawyer, a mental justice activist, works here in PINA, and will give us a bit of more this others' views into that. Then on the Zoom, we have Manja Ristic, who is a violinist, sound artist, curator, researcher, working a lot on the soundscape compositions, sound ecology and ecology of a mental sound imprint. With her, we also developed a really great program inside of Adriatic Garden, which is called Sona Adriatic Tales, and is a program devoted to the above and underwater sonic wilderness of Adriatic Sea. Then from Aquarium Pula is with us Alexandra Bell, and Aquarium Pula is a great institution working in Croatia and Istria with really strong devotion to ecology and conservation. So Alexandra will give us also some of the insight into their activities and what they're doing. And also Alexandra is head of the department of Aquarium Pula. Then we have with us also Olga Majcen-Lin, who is a curator working at Container in Zagreb, which just recently opened exhibition Emap Emare Quarantine, also in the Lazareti in Dubrovnik in collaboration with Gino Šutić from UR Institute. And Olga will give us also a bit of more insight about Container and your own view into topics of art science and interdisciplinary approaches. I think I managed to introduce everybody. So we agreed with all our guests that everybody will start with short 3 to 4 minute statement about their views about care, solidarity, compassion, environmental justice, and all the topics which we are interested in to Adriatic Sea. So I would kindly ask to start with Manja Ristic. Manja? I think Manja is a bit frozen, so we will wait a bit. Manja is with us. Because it's from island Korčula, so the internet was a bit having problems. But Manja, could you give us this statement?
Hello, can you hear me well? Yes, I'm on the island of Korčula. Yes, internet infrastructure here is still something that we will have to work on in the next years. I'm basically situated in the heart of the old town. It's a 1,000 years old settlement in the middle of the sea on a big rock, a sort of a small peninsula on the far south end of Korčula Island. So this place is, apart from being very rich environmentally with layers and layers of Adriatic wilderness, it's also historically extremely rich environment. And in the last 7 years, I started reconnecting with this place where I grew up in my earliest age. And that really influenced and brought a lot of new knowledge about environmental issues to my art and soundscape composition as such for, I could say, the whole regional scene and development of our scene. What I'm really interested in with my daily work and which is field recording that evolves into soundscape composition and other kinds of researches is this very in-depth continuity that I can dive into from knowing the place so well, basically most of my life. So in this process, what I see and what I think is really important is the inevitable impact and imprint that we leave on the very fragile environment. Even Korčula is taken as a very famous and very important historical and touristic place. There is a lot to add to the environmental issues that are happening here. So basically, organisms that existed 20 years ago does not exist anymore. The impact of the tourism is huge, and the impact of so-called development is also very huge. And here is something that can be seen extremely on a daily basis. For example, having the cruisers, big cruisers coming to the shallow bay between Perseus Peninsula and Korčula are digging the bottom of the sea for, so to say, extensively for 10 years and more with their huge anchors. And this is just one little detail that no one is ever mentioning or thinking about. And what is left from the sea bottom, it's really extremely different from what is only 30 years ago. So basically, this is something that I'm very interested in, into observing this change, into observing the impact, also listening the needs of the underwater and above water environment very closely and with a great care. What I do afterward with it is that I try to bring wider audience closer to it through the means of soundscape composition, ambient music, and contemporary music as such. That we use the sound and music and art as a medium to bring invisible, to bring non-existent until that point to the minds and hearts of the people. So basically listening to the smallest parts of Adriatic and the most hidden parts of Adriatic really enriched my life, and what I try to do is to put this into a prism visible for everyone.
Thank you, Manja. That's amazing. I would kindly, now we will jump here into our Pinot studio, and I will kindly ask Dr. Alenka Malej to say some words. I think it's good continuation after Manja's sound view into the ocean to continue with your view.
Hello, everybody. I'm a marine biologist, and I'm studying coastal marine systems for many years, in particular in the Adriatic. But I have also taken part in several research expeditions around the world in seas like the English Channel, Adriatic Sea in Japan, Guelfo Nuevo, close to Argentina, and the Mediterranean, of course, very different parts. So I would like to introduce to you the Adriatic as a natural system. It is a very heterogeneous system because we have in the northern part, it is shallow, it gets a lot of fresh water bringing many nutrients into the sea, and it cools substantially during the winter. This enables to survive also some cold water elements that are not so typical of other parts of the Mediterranean and the Adriatic. In contrast, the southern part of the Adriatic is significantly deeper, much more under influence of the warm waters from the Mediterranean. We also have rather big differences between east and west coast. On east, there are rugged mountains with rocky shores and rocky bottom, while on the western side, we have sandy beaches that are inhabited by quite different communities. Therefore, this big heterogeneity of different environments offers a living space to very, very variable biota. Marine biodiversity in the Adriatic is among the highest around the world, and what we think we need to preserve this. Unfortunately, like in many other places, especially coastal places, the biodiversity is endangered. So we do hope that actions like this will contribute that we will preserve it long term. Thank you, Robertina. I hope I'm not too long.
No, it's excellent because these statements are exactly that, you know, that we are all presenting what is like in our nearest to us to speak about and deal about the Adriatic Sea, its creatures and everything. I would now kindly ask Olga Meitzen-Lin to give her perspective. Olga?
Yes, hello. Nice to see you, everybody here gathered here. So I'm, as Robertina said, from organization Container, Bureau of Contemporary Art Praxis from Zagreb, and we exist from 2002. And we are engaged in curatorial work and organization of art festivals, public events, education and social theory. And our main field of interest is progressive contemporary art that has investigative approach and is dealing with the role and meaning of science, technology, and the body in our society. And we collaborated actually with Robertina and Gino on a number of events and especially Robertina's work. And one of the great examples of this interdisciplinary collaboration was actually the work that Robertina, you did with Aquarium in Pula with Alexandra, where Container was hosting Touch Me Festival in Zagreb. And I cannot stress enough the importance of this kind of collaboration between different fields to somehow get the best results. That was basically the first introduction between Aquarium in Pula and your artwork. So I think also this project is very, very exciting to me because it looks like some kind of a beginning of creating of interdisciplinary platform that can deal with some very important topics connected to Adriatic Sea and creatures inside, and also very important topics like pollution, climate change, and effects that it all has on Adriatic and this environment. I also want to add that we just opened this exhibition, Quarantine, in Dubrovnik, in the space of quarantine. That was the earliest one in Europe, and that actually hosted IMAP productions that are on the line of these topics that we are dealing with. So they're all collaborative, they're based on science, and they're very important today because they're dealing with communication between species, understanding of different species, pollution, and other topics that are affecting us enormously. I'm very happy to be here on this roundtable with all you.
Thank you, Olga. So I will be jumping again into the studio. As you see, we are jumping between the zoom out and zoom in. And yeah, I will ask Mario to give his perspective, because you're a lawyer, you work a lot on environmental justice, and I think it's good to have also next to arts, science, and also some other visions into what is our future and what is happening now.
Yeah, thank you. Hello from my side. I'm Mario. I'm living in Biosphere Reserve, Karst, near Scotian Caves. It's UNESCO site. And that's how I am really deeply involved in nature activism and natural justice activism. I'm also have a legal background. That's how I'm more interested how I can not only preserve nature on the field as monitoring beds and monitoring different plants and orchids. I'm also interested in how to prevent that our government or some company wants to destroy some part of habitat or ecosystem, but they can do the same thing somewhere else, which is more convenient or in some different way or in line with nature. I believe we can find the solution if we search for it. And so I help a lot of civil initiative. I also lead one against dam because they want to build a dam in our BR. And I must rely quite a lot of EU legislation, and I'm quite glad that we have some because national legislation is quite easy to bypass by national authorities. That's why if just to sum up a little, in EU we have Birds and Habitat Directive, which are like the background for the biodiversity policy and all the legal basic for our nature protection network. So we have also Nature 2000, which is a network of protection areas. And we have in EU 18% of EU land is protected by Nature 2000, and more than 6% is also its seas territory. So it's like 3,000 marine Nature 2000 sites. So that's a lot. If you look the map of Adriatic Sea, it's all colored because it's almost everything. It's Nature 2000. I think people are not much aware of this. I think we have to raise awareness more and also use that legislation because in some cases, I know for Slovenia best, we won because there were some ecosystem or there were some nature sites that we address. Okay, you cannot do this here. Please find a better solution, or let us together find better solution. So I'm also always advocating to come together, let's talk and let's find better solution. But if it doesn't help, then we have to go to court, and yeah, we will. Thank you. That's for my side.
Thank you for this, Mario. And I will now speak to Alexandra from Aquarium Pula.
Hello, everybody. So I am Alexandra from Aquarium Pula. I am the head of department, and I greet you also in the name of our director, Dr. Milena Micic. She is now in field work because we are quite working a lot in the field of conservation. So Aquarium Pula is a very particular location because we are situated as an aquarium in a very old historical building. It is an Austro-Hungarian fortress, and it represents a unique blend of natural and cultural heritage. Besides showing the beauty of the Adriatic and the marine environments, we are developing and running programs for nature conservation and for public awareness. We have the aim of our work is to promoting a natural heritage and speaking and spreading knowledge about the need for its protection. As we have a large number of visitors each year that are here and that we can do it directly in contact, so we can be a link between science and normal people. So to explain to them really what happens, and not just to see this beautiful Adriatic and thinks that is a beautiful sea, but nobody is thinking what is under the sea. So in this activity, the conservation activity, the main one and the oldest one is we are running a marine turtle rescue center till 2006. And here we have saved more than 1,070 animals. It is hard work. We are all volunteering for that, but at the end we are also very happy, and this is our contribution, because all of us, we are all lovers of sea, we are all lovers of the sea creatures, but we have also to act somehow. So in the last, but not the least problem, we had also with the Pinna nobilis. This is the fountain shell, and we are very involved in this field because this is a species in extinction, and probably is very endangered, and probably we will lose again another species. So biodiversity has to be protected, and in our facility, in our aquarium, we are trying to do our best to have different biofields and to give the animals all the welfare they need. As a part of the aquarium staff also, we are working to have the connection between natural heritage, knowledge, and common people that comes here to see what we can give. Furthermore, aquarium are changing as the world is changing. Also, the aquarium concept is changing. So we are going in conservation more and more. We have a lot of teams. It's not just 2, but 100 of them, and we are very active like people, and we want to share knowledge, and also why not our animals, as happens with Robertina and the container organization. So we were. I was very happy to have this meeting with arts, because we are biologists or marine biologists, so we are not in this field, but we are trying to do our best. So in that aim, we are very happy to be here with you, and thank you for the invitation. And now I'm looking forward to other things that can emerge by this roundtable. Thank you.
Dear Alexandra, thank you for your presentation of the aquarium pool and your amazing work also.
Thank you.
And now we have also Melina with us. So Melina, would you mind to give us a bit more global perspective? Because now we all spoke about more Adriatic Sea, but we invited you to this roundtable also because it's great to get like also this more global perspective on the situations.
Yeah, thank you, Robertina. Thank you, everybody. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for the invitation. So I am a Brazilian biologist by training, but it's been quite like a couple of years, like more than 10 years now, that I've been focusing on biodiversity governance, policy, and youth engagement. I am the co-founder of the Global Youth Biodiversity Network, which is like a huge network of young people working on the ground. They're active on biodiversity issues on the ground, and that they understood that just working on the ground, it's not enough anymore, right? Like, I mean, you have to work on the ground, but you need to connect to other dimensions. You need to connect to other people, to other specialties. And I think that this dialogue here is really, really interesting because it brings all this kind of different communities together, and it brings something that I think it's like the key, you know, which is the art part of it. Because as a biologist and as a person that is being going to United Nations meetings all the time and trying to communicate to policymakers and to the people that actually take those decisions, why is it important that we conserve it, why it is important that we keep it, why this matters to us. You know, they don't listen anymore to science. Right? They don't listen anymore to people in general. So what can we do? And this is what we are trying to do as the network. And collectively, we have been understanding perhaps that's what social scientists knew way before, that people take decisions based on their emotions. People take decisions based on what they feel. And it's not anymore just enough to talk about communication. It is necessary to talk about how to evoke those emotions, how to transmit those emotions, how to express those emotions so that people are motivated to take the right decisions. Right? And I think this is perfect here because art is one of, the most beautiful ways that we can express what we feel, and what we all feel is like this love for our community, our nature, like the sea and so on. And you all have very, very interesting ways in how to engage the public and how to make people express this love, right? And I think this has been like something that we as a network, we have been focusing also. And like more and more at the negotiations level at the UN, for instance, people are understanding more this dimension of art and this dimension of like, okay, new forms of engagement and new forms of communication. So just like to wrap it up, like I am coming from like the global sort of level. I am working with the Convention on Biological Diversity that tries to bring all countries together to decide on policies at the international level that are going to affect like the countries, and that the countries are going to take commitment into that. And for that to happen, you know, we need civil society mobilized, like on the ground. We need like people to talk about, to make pressure into the government, to do civil initiatives and so on. So like, I am seeing myself more as a bridge builder, you know, and I'm seeing that all of us here in this roundtable plays a little bit of this role. And I think it's really like through this bridge building and bringing different communities together and seeing what brings us in common, right? What like brings us together. This is how we are going to be able not to only communicate, but to make people feel why this is important and why we should conserve it. So thank you.
Thank you for this beautiful statement also. And it's also very important. In our work, like with Gino Šutić, we also speak a lot about empathy and solidarity with oceans and seas. In relationship, you know, like also exactly that, you know, how to find that, you know, how to go beyond art, science, and all our knowledges, but what is the empathy? Where is the levels that we can connect with it? And for the second round of the roundtable, I will give now my word to Gino Šutić, who will be now our moderator for the next 25 minutes.
Yeah, thank you, Robertina. Thank you all. We tackled most of the topics that we wanted to tackle on this roundtable, which focuses on the social technological relationship with the seas. And now I would kindly ask each of you specifically to give us your comment, reflection on the current situations, ecological situations which are happening in the Adriatic Sea, and what's happening from your perspective, and how do you see we could take like better care and better relationship with the seas, and where do you see this interdisciplinary approach to be useful in tackling current ecological situation. So we can do the same circle. So I would like to start with Manja.
Here I am. All right. Yes, I'm very moved really by such amazing crowd, and it feels like, you know, finding your own tribe after quite a while. I'm really interested into grassroots initiatives, and I think this is very important. The civil education being now part of the small community on the island of Korčula, and the island communities are quite specific communities. What I see here as a sort of a problem, it's really a political issue, the way environment is taken for granted. But on the other hand, the sea and the environment and the history of it, the history of cohabitation, it's really the most important identity of the people living on the island. Also, people living on the island are very, very generous in the sense that they, year after year, for many decades, accept people from all around the world. So it is quite unusual to have such a small community in an ancient setting, in a historical setting, being so open and metropolitan, basically, in its mentality. But what it's really lacking, what it's really the question how to move from this status quo is to bring more knowledge to the civil society and to work on grassroots initiatives with the people and with the issues that are present and very much alive. Things are very dynamic here, and things are changing very dynamically because there is a lot of capital-driven need to develop tourism, and there is not enough awareness about how to protect the environment and the biodiversity, which basically that tourism and cohabitation of the people with the rest of the world through this temporary migrations is actually dependent. So the thing is that for me is the most important is to bring awareness of the people that how deeply they are dependent on the sea. It's not just a question of identity or poetical notion, you know, that the sea is everything, the sea is in my heart, the sea is part of me in my genes from generation and generation. It's also the question of how to understand dependence of this system that is ecological and biological that you really, really depend on, and it's so much present in everybody's life. So I'm definitely focusing also through what I do and through networking with people with similar interests like mine, is to simply bring as much as possible models that could be useful for the grassroots initiatives, since we really don't have a political support in that sense, or the legal support, or any kind of support that will seriously take the problems of the locale. And the problems are visible, problems are huge, and very dynamic.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you so much for your perspective. It sounds really on the topic, and I totally agree with everything you said. I would like to continue on with Mario because you mentioned this like lack of political support and legislation. So Mario, what is your perspective from your side of view and profession?
I think that I quite agree with Manja that we really have to raise awareness among everybody, because people who live in a specific area, they really love its area, especially if they live near the sea or if they live on the countryside. And they have this affection and love, and they, especially now when the COVID crisis was, it was really a relief that you can go outside and be in nature and find some peace. And so that's why we do really a lot of this raising awareness. But I think we have to view it quite holistically. You can't just raise awareness. You still have to do a lot of advocacy to also reach the people who are decision makers on the regional, on the local ground, on the regional, national, and also on the UN UN dimension. Because okay, we are here in Europe. We have, I can say, quite lucky because there are some EU legislation, and now we are in such an important time where there is no time to just sit around, and it's time to act with all the crisis and biodiversity loss. And EU is doing something. I have quite good hopes about this new biodiversity strategy and new Green Deal, but I'm still like looking and see if it's gonna reach something or not. But EU wants really to lead this example for post-2020, which was Melina talking about, and I hope we will reach that. But there is also some tweet because in these directives, the nations can decide how they will reach these goals, and some decision maker in ministries they see it differently as it should be, or they don't look holistically. So I think they would all also need to get more knowledge, or to go among the people or on the site and see, okay, this is not appropriate for, I don't know, this environment. This approach is more appropriate somewhere else, or here is better this. So I think we just need all to get, and also the decision maker, a feeling where to do something, because not just to do something because of some money interest.
Thank you so much. I would like, I see this, I would like to continue on with Alexandra, because I see you like both Manya and Mario were mentioning this like communication with the citizens, and at Aquarium Pula actually you are doing both. You are doing conservation, and in parallel you are open to citizens, and the idea behind the aquarium is to conserve and also to communicate the topics with the citizens. So what is your view on current situation in the Adriatic, and like how can we use this interdisciplinary approach? And how do you communicate to the citizens these problematics?
Actually, I can speak for hours about that, because the aquarium, we are a private aquarium, and so we are doing effort to communicate, to create emotion, because you have to do an exhibition and you have to raise awareness about perhaps climate changes, plastic in the sea, and all that topics that are very hard, and people are a little bit sometimes also their mind are full of information, and they actually do not recognize the importance of the topic. So I would, somehow I would recommend that more we are, so artists, scientists, equal person, lawyers, and all together, more we can do. Because people are different. People are searching for some beautiful peace. Nature is disappearing. Biodiversity is disappearing. So at the end, the aquarium made this ecosystem, and maybe we will be the place where you can see what was once, how the Adriatic should looks, because we are losing this environment. So we are doing maximal effort in this field, and we are part of also of the OIAC organization. This is European Aquarium Curators from all the Europe, like full members. So we are going to educate ourselves how to transmit this to the normal public. So what is, it's continuously a change. And I can, one example, what we have done with the plastic. In 2017, it starts like an aquarium, perhaps goal to, in a way that it's not heavy, to show people what should be an ocean with or without plastic, without pressing them so much. in just 1 year, 151 aquarium over the world react to that response. And we have a lot of visitors. So it was millions and millions of people that sees our action against plastic and plastic pollution. Then we had repeat with Monaco. He was the leader of that action. And what happens that in 221, European will do a law against single-use plastic. It comes from an action made by aquariums. So, and I can speak for hours about that. So we can do, but the most important, more we are, more we can do. From few fields for different, because people are different. People are searching, maybe I love something and somebody likes something else. Another topic that is very important that we have speak about in our meetings is how to treat a sea, how to treat an ocean. Maybe as we are speaking futuristically, maybe to establish a law, because everybody is using ocean and using the sea and using creatures that are inside and living normally, and we are destroying everything. So how to treat, how to legally do something, and in this way maybe to raise awareness also, not just like lovers, like people that believe in that stuff. I think that we need a bigger stress on that. This is my point, yeah.
Thank you so much. I totally agree with everything. I would like to continue on with Alenka. You did so much research on understanding and protecting marine organisms. How do you, from your perspective as a scientist, where do you see the potential of this interdisciplinary approach, integrating experts from different fields, such as artists with scientists and activists, and so on?
Thank you. I come from scientific community, and our main role is to provide scientific results and reliable monitoring data to policy makers and those that decide about the environment, but on the other hand also to general public, because if there is limited community that understands what is going on in the sea, then there is no pressure on policymakers. I would say, I was listening to comments by Mario and also by you. I think that there are quite a few legal frameworks or even laws on place, and also some measures like you mentioned before, protected areas. But we have to ask ourselves, do they really work properly? Do they contribute to really protecting our environment? We have asked ourselves as scientific questions sometimes about, for example, connectivity of protected marine areas. If they're not connected in themselves, do they play their role that they are there for? And the second aspect I want to stress is, and we were chatting with Milena before this meeting, that scientists are really not too good in communicating our results, with few exceptions, of course. There are some people that are good in it. So I'm really looking forward to be a part of this group. And I'm happy that I had very good connection with Robertina in past, that she could do some really nice projects with my pet research animal, that is Medusa. So we do need this kind of, let's say, actions that will remind people that they will see a kind of, I don't know, feral organism or something like charismatic species, and then through emotion, like you mentioned, they will understand what is happening in the marine environment.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. This is like totally amazing to integrate all of these opinions into one story which connects perfectly for me at least. I would like to continue on with Olga to ask you what's your perspective in all of this, like through the framework you are a curator of new media art which relates to science and technology. How do you see solving these problematics and integrating them with art? What is the role of art in all of this?
Well, I would like to add to Dr. Alenka, because she was talking about scientists not really being the best people to present the results they have. I was working through container a lot with, for example, Institute of Physics or Institute Ruđer Bošković here in Zagreb that is dealing with natural sciences and life sciences. And basically, a lot of the results they get is pure data, and there is nothing to show. And in that sense, they were really, really open to collaboration with artists, because artists have that way of imagining the world in some different sense that is much more sensorial and can approach people and raise awareness or do something about educating people about the results that science has. So I think the artistic projects, and I think this initiative that Robertina and you started is an example of how things can be done and how things can be started, and how this collaboration and interdisciplinary approach can get some results. Networking is definitely one of the best ways of getting this civic education and knowledge in. And then after that, I think when the knowledge is there and communities are aware of the problems, then the politics is starting to change. So there is some kind of order in this kind of things. Also, I think from the perspective of culture institutions, it's always interesting when you see those institutions that are groundbreaking, like, for example, Ars Electronica Festival, that are having their own labs and their own people that are working on projects. And then artists not just collaborate with, for example, scientists on their data and getting a small amount of time in the lab, but they get the keys of the lab and 24/7 attention, which is important also to develop the projects and raise questions which are completely different than the ones that scientists are posing.
Super, thank you so much. We are in the last 3 minutes, so I would like to finish up with Melina and ask you what is your view on all of this. Like, we talked about specifically Adriatic Sea, and we all come from this region. We all deal with local issues. What is your view from the global or European aspect on all of this like interdisciplinary approach, how to connect like action takers, citizens, scientists, and artists?
Thank you so much, Gino. So for me, it's really nice to hear about all these local perspectives, because obviously, like, you can relate it to the global. I mean, it's a microcosmos, what is going on here in the Adriatic Sea, and then what is going on in the global level is absolutely the same. Like, we are at the verge of like a mass extinction. We have more than 1 million species at risk of extinction. Like, you can find those reports online, especially by the Intergovernmental Platform on Biodiversity and Ecosystem Services. Service that has a very good report. And finally, science has come together to understand why we are at this stage, right? And the situation is because of ourselves. It's because of how we have prioritized different values, right? This kind of business as usual sort of values of like consumption, destruction, and all this sort of like this disruptive practices without caring for the environment, even though we depend so much on it. And I think also like it's getting more and more clear at the global level how all of this is interconnected. So even like here at the Adriatic Sea, you still have influences of all the other seas around. You still have impact from what the people are doing and the cargo ships they're passing and the cruise, the tourist cruise boats that are coming here. And like in this world, in this globalized world, we cannot only think about the local anymore or only think about the global. We need to build those bridges in between these two perspectives, because otherwise we are not going to be able to solve or manage any of our problems. So I think like the way to go, the path forward is through this dialogue. It is through communicating with different types of people. It is evoking emotions through arts and through the sensorial experiences. I think Ars Electronica is a great example on how you can connect science, culture, and arts. But I think now the next step, maybe the next wall to break, is the policy making, is the decision-making world. You know, like we need to show to this community what their constituencies want, really, and that what those constituencies want is more than just money, is more than just being rich. There's so much more about it. So I think that would be a little bit of my insight on the global level. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This wraps up everything perfectly. As global seas are totally connected, this issue is not local, it's global, and the global collaboration and local collaboration, in my opinion, is the opening doors to solutions that we need to tackle. Robertina, do you have anything to add?
I think it's amazing. I think we could continue for another over 2-3. We have to finish up with this live stream now, but I hope that we will be all able to meet each other very soon, very near, and in one place. And I'm really, really thankful to everybody to take your time on this Saturday afternoon to be with us, because for us, have this kind of like different, really diverse perspectives is exactly that what we need to have. We have to listen to each other, and also have respect to other expertise and how to know how to do with it. So thank you, everybody. Thank you, Ars Electronica. Thank you, everybody who was watching us, and hope to see everybody soon.